Hi, everyone. It's time for our Rapier and Dagger assessment choreography. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different than the others, and it's going to be a little challenging. This is a 3-phase fight, like some of our other assessment choreography. It's going to be based on the scene at the end of Romeo and Juliet, where there's a fight between Romeo and the County Paris. So County Paris is the man that was chosen by Juliet's parents to marry her. They, of course, did not know that she had already secretly married Romeo, who at this point in the play has been banished from Verona. Romeo believes Juliet has died because she's taken a draught of poison that has put her into a coma and made it appear that she is dead to fool her family, who have buried her in a tomb. So Romeo has snuck into the tomb to bid his last farewells to Juliet and to kill himself, but he is interrupted by the County Paris, who is also distraught at the death or assumed death of his fiancée. So he interrupts Romeo, and the two fight, and Romeo slays the County Paris before he eventually takes his own life. So for this assessment choreography, I'm going to show you each phrase of each half of the fight. I'm going to talk through the fight nice and slow, a piece at a time, and then I'll show you the full thing together. And I would like you to choose which part you would like to present, either Romeo or the County Paris, and then you are going to show me all 3 phrases of that fight. You can do it as one long video, or you can do it as 3 separate videos. It's entirely up to you. Okay, let's begin. Okay, we're looking at phrase 1 for Romeo. Now, Romeo is going to be downstage left, facing upstage right. County Paris is going to be facing Romeo from upstage right. So Romeo has just been praying over Juliet's corpse. Paris has discovered him, believes that he is about to do some kind of mischievous thing to the body of the daughter of his family's enemy, and has come to stop him. So the County Paris, trying to apprehend Romeo, has Romeo on point, meaning that Paris is pointing his weapon fully extended right at Romeo's chest. Romeo is going to start the fight explosively, trying to catch Paris off guard. So he's standing rather casually, left foot forward in an en garde position, but trying to act as if he's not about to fight. Meanwhile, County Paris is weight shifted forward and is very much ready for a fight. So Romeo is going to begin by knocking the blade aside with a dagger parry 3. So just using the dagger hand to beat the blade aside as he preps for a fishing line cut to the left arm and is going to pass forward. So let's take a look at that. There we see the dagger beat and then the fishing line cut to the left arm. Now, this is a rock and roll section of the fight, so Paris is immediately going to return by cutting to Romeo's left hip, and they're going to weight shift back, and Romeo is going to do a sequential beat parry, which means he is first going to parry with the dagger parry 2, and then is going to follow that with a parry with the rapier, which is going to be rapier parry 7, and that is going to beat aside the blade and then continue into a moulinet head cut. You'll see that right here. So there's the dagger part of the parry, the rapier makes it sequential, beats it, and then goes into a inside moulinet head cut, which is then parried. But Romeo is not done. Romeo is now going to do a dagger cut through the belly, which Paris is going to evade. So right now we're making eye contact. Romeo is prepping the attack, and then as soon as Paris begins the evasion, Romeo can commit to the attack, passing forward as he cuts with the dagger, just like that. And now he's going to finish it up with one more cut that's going to be evaded. And so he is going to swing that rapier around above his head in that ice cream cone shape, just like a front of body cut, and is then going to end up doing a diagonal high to low, right to left cut, which Paris is also going to evade. And Paris is going to evade under Romeo's right arm as he crosses to the other side of the stage. And you'll see that in Paris's phrase 1. So here's that final cut and evasion right there, and Paris evades underneath Romeo's arm. That is phrase 1 from Romeo's side. Now let's take a look at that phrase full speed.
Romeo, downstage left, point to upstage right is on point. Beat, attack, cut, parry, sequential parry, Molinet, head, dagger, diagonal.
Now we're looking at phrase 2 from Romeo's perspective. So Paris has just crossed over to the stage left side, and Romeo is now stage right. So Romeo turns over his right shoulder to face Paris. So Romeo is now down stage right, and Paris is up stage left. Now, the previous phrase was the rock and roll phrase. This is going to be the circular phrase. We're going to start by exchanging some low-line thrust attacks and then moving into the punto reverso. So Romeo's weight shifted back and is now in more of an en-garde position. Paris is weight shifted forward again and is inviting Romeo to attack. So Romeo is going to begin by doing a thrust attack, low line to Paris's left hip. They're going to pass forward. Paris is going to do a direct riposte with a weight shift, followed by Romeo doing an indirect riposte with a passing step, and Romeo is going to overcommit to this attack so that we can smoothly transition into the punto reverso. So let's take a look at that. So here we go, the initial thrust attack to the left hip, followed by the direct riposte, parried with the dagger, and the indirect riposte, overextended, also parried with the dagger. So Romeo did a dagger parry 2, and Paris is now doing a dagger parry 7. Paris is now going to go into the punto reverso. Romeo is going to have to cross step and do a low line parry with the rapier, and then Romeo is going to execute his own low line punto reverso. Oh no, I'm sorry, he's going to do a high line punto reverso. So Paris does the low line, Romeo does the high line punto reverso. So let's take a look at that. Romeo's overextended. Paris does the low line punto reverso. Romeo cross steps and does a rapier parry 2. And then Romeo's going to do his own high line punto with a traverse. There we go. And Paris has parried that rapier parry 3. I believe this may have been a parallel parry right here. Okay, so now County Paris is going to croiser and then is going to attack Romeo's right arm. Now this is a little bit awkward for Romeo because Romeo is kind of left foot forward, but he's facing offline. So what Romeo is going to do is he's going to take a very large step back with his right foot, almost like a retreat, to move himself online with County Paris and put some space here so as to evade this attack as he parries. So let's take a look at that. We've got the croisé, and then here's that big step back. And there is our parallel parry. So Romeo is going to do a parallel parry right here. Okay, now it's Romeo's turn to do some evasions. So Paris is going to do his own dagger belly cut, just like Romeo did in the first phrase. Romeo is going to evade this by passing back once, removing his weapons down and behind him, and removing his waist back to evade. We'll use that same 5-step process: eye contact, preparation, evasion, attack, recovery. And then Paris is going to follow up with a Molinet head cut. And Romeo is going to do a really fancy high X reinforced parry with rapier on top and dagger underneath. I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So here's the evasion for the dagger belly cut, and then pass back, and there is our X parry right there. Okay, so you can see it's a combination of a dagger parry and a rapier parry 5. The true edge of both weapons are up. The rapier is on top. Okay, now that is relatively important because Romeo is now going to step in and do a move that will bring both weapons together into core a core. So Romeo has just parried with both weapons and is now going to pass forward and do a rapier cut to Paris's left hip. Paris is not going to pass back. Paris is just going to weight shift back. And that means both fighters are now going to be in distance. Both weapons are going to be neutralized. And so it's going to be core-a-core. Here's what that looks like. So there's that. Boom. Now, both fighters are core-a-core. Paris's rapier is still above Romeo's head. Romeo has parried that. And Paris has done a dagger parry 2 to parry Romeo's counterattack. And now Paris is going to bind over, and we're going to go shoulder to shoulder, core-a-core, similar to what we did in broadsword. So bind over, all 4 weapons are now neutralized, and we have stepped towards the audience. Now we're going to do a body barge, followed by one final attack to the back, and this is going to be actually both weapons that is going to be used here. First the dagger, followed by the rapier. And so, body barge, Romeo looks over the shoulder and then evades, removing his back forward. That is phrase 2 from Romeo's perspective. Now let's look at the whole thing. Not really full performance speed, but all together nice and smooth.
Romeo extends, passes, parries, weight shift, parry, repose, overextend, punto, low, punto, high. We get croisé, then kind of demi-pass back, parallel parry, stomach evasion, cross parry high, passing step cut. We are bound over to core-a-core. Body bars, over the shoulder, evade, evade.
Okay, it's now time for the final phrase from Romeo's perspective, and this phrase is extremely short. That last phrase had both the circular section as well as the traveling section there at the end. This one is just going to be the wound and the kill. So Romeo is going to be wounding Paris. It's very, very simple. Romeo and Paris are basically in the same positions that they ended phrase 2. Romeo is now upstage left. Paris is now downstage right. They're both going to be left foot forward. No, I'm sorry. Romeo's left foot forward. Paris is right foot forward. Paris is going to be doing a balestra lunge, which is one of my favorite footwork moves, and I'll show you that when we get to Paris's half of the fight. But all Romeo is going to need to do is going to pass back, do a dagger parry 3, and then is going to do a reverse lunge and place his blade on Paris's hip stomach area, just like the kill in broadsword. So it's the exact same wound in broadsword with the same placement of the flat of the blade against Paris's large muscle mass in the stomach area. It's just 2 moves. It's very simple. Let's take a look at it. So there we go. Pass back, dagger parry 3, and then reverse passing lunge, along with a little bit of a duck right there to get underneath Paris's attack. So this is a duck evasion, and then placing that blade right on Paris's stomach. That's that. So now we'll take a look at all 3 phrases together, nice and smooth.
Romeo, downstage left, point to upstage right is on point. Beat, attack, cut, parry, sequential parry, Molinet, head, dagger, diagonal. That's phrase 1. Now, Paris is off over that way. We're left foot forward. Romeo extends, passes, parries, weight shift, parry, repose, overextend, punto, low, punto, high. We get croisé, then kind of demi-pass back, parallel parry, stomach evasion, cross parry high, passing step cut. We are bound over to core-a-core. Body bars, over the shoulder, evade, evade. Then Paris is going to do his balestra lunge. We pass back, parry, place.
Now it's time to look at the fight from Paris's perspective. So this is the top of phrase 1. We're now looking at Paris. Paris is upstage right, looking diagonally down at Romeo, who is downstage left. Paris has Romeo on point. So Paris is right foot forward, weight shifted forward, fully extending the rapier, palm pronated, pointing directly at Romeo's center chest. Now, Romeo is going to start the fight rather explosively by doing a beat, dagger, parry, 3 to remove the blade, and then attacking Paris's left arm. Okay, so we'll take a look at that. So Paris's blade is beat aside. Paris passes back, and does a dagger, parry, 3. This is a little awkward out of affinity because he is parrying to the closed hip, but it's okay. It's a dagger parry. It works just fine. Now, Paris is going to return by cutting to Romeo's left hip, and we're just going to do a weight shift here. There we go. Cut to the left hip, and this is where Romeo does the sequential beat parry followed by the Molinet head cut, and Paris is going to weight shift back and dagger parry 5. There we go, dagger, parry 5. And now we've got the eye contact, preparation, evasion, attack, recovery, as Romeo does a belly cut with the dagger. So Paris is going to pass back, remove his weapons behind him, and remove his stomach backwards to evade. There we go, dagger attack, evasion. And now he's going to do a duck evasion by immediately ducking and then passing forward underneath Romeo's attack, crossing to the other side of the stage. Duck, and pulls the weapons through so as to avoid getting those weapons in Romeo's face. That's very, very important. Watch the paths of the blades to make sure that you're not threatening your partner's face. Now, at this point, if we wanted to, both partners could turn over their right shoulder and attempt to do one last little cut at their partner's rear hip, which as soon as they notice that the other person is attacking them, it would just become a deflecting blow against the weapon. It's kind of flashy, but it's very difficult to do it and make it look like there's any martial intent behind it. Chris Duvall, my first stage combat teacher, really loves throwing that into his test fights. But we'll leave that out of it because it is rather an advanced move. Okay, so that is the end of phrase 1 from Paris's position. So let's take a look at that entire phrase all the way through.
Sword is beat aside, pass back, parry. I'm changing this to a cut, head, evade, through. End of phrase 1.
Now it is phrase 2 from Paris's position. This is going to start by exchanging some thrust attacks, followed by a circular section with the punto reverso, and then concluding with a traveling section. Now, I mentioned previously that Paris is inviting Romeo here. So Paris has his weight shifted forward, his rapier off to the side, and his dagger high and to the right, trying to entice Romeo into attacking his forward hip. Romeo takes the bait. He's going to do a thrust attack to Paris's forward hip. Paris is going to pass back, dagger parry 2, do a direct riposte with a weight shift, and then Romeo will do the indirect riposte, which then Paris is going to have to pass back and do a dagger parry 7. Now, as you watch that, I want you to pay very close attention to what Paris does with the rapier. He's going to need to bring it around the outside and then place it on top without passing it in front of Romeo's face. We never want to threaten Romeo's face, but while he does this, he's going to have to prep for the punto reverso. So let's take a look here. So Romeo does the initial thrust attack. Paris passes back, dagger, parry 2, and immediately does the direct riposte. Notice that Paris extended the weapon immediately following the parry, but does not weight shift forward until his weapon is fully extended. Romeo has now parried dagger parry 2 and does an indirect riposte, which is going to require Paris to pass back and do a dagger parry 7. And as he does that, watch the motion of the rapier. Rapier goes down and then comes up and around and is placed on top of the parry, palm supinated, ready for the punto reverso. And now Paris is able to begin his punto reverso. He's going to do a traverse punto low. There we go. It's parried. And now Paris is going to have to do another traverse and do a rapier parry 3 as Romeo does his own high punto. Sorry, did I say rapier parry 3? I meant dagger parry 4. Now I want to show you that again because I want you to watch what Paris does with his feet right there. So let's pass back. So there we are. So Paris has just been parried. Now Paris is going to actually take 2 steps. He's going to drop step forward with his left foot. He's going to rotate, doing a volt movement, a half volt, ending left foot forward by passing back with his right foot as he does the dagger parry 4. So let's take a look at that. Here we go. Drop step and then volt, passing back, and dagger parry 4. I'll show that to you one more time since it's a little bit tricky here. Okay, so we've done our initial traverse, and we step forward with the left foot, drop step, turning over our right shoulder, and now we volt, half volt, we pass back with our right foot, dagger parry 4. And as the dagger parry 4 occurs, Paris is now prepped to do a thrust attack to Romeo's right arm. So, extending the thrust attack first without weight shifting, then we pass forward, and Romeo passes back, does the parallel parry. Meanwhile, Paris has prepped his dagger cut to the belly, so we do eye contact, preparation. Romeo evades, Paris follows through with the attack and recovery, and Paris is going to finish with a Molinet on the outside, an outside Molinet head cut, passing forward, parry right there. Now Romeo is going to step forward into Choreo. Paris is going to weight shift back, keeping his right arm fully extended above Romeo's head, and do a dagger parry 2. So there's the weight shift back, dagger parry 2. Now, both weapons are neutralized. We're in Choreo. Paris is going to bite the blade with his left hand. So right now his palm is pronated as he did a dagger parry 2, and he is going to rotate it all the way past supination so that the true edge of his dagger is on Romeo's rapier, and then bind over, stepping off to his right. So there's the biting the blade, bind over, stepping to the right. Now, of course, just like with broadsword, Paris's left foot is behind Romeo's right foot. Their shoulders are connected. Paris's rapier is on top. So we have Romeo's right foot and weapons sandwiched between Paris's left foot and weapons. Now, Paris is going to do the body barge, so takes Romeo's weight, barges him off, and then here does a dagger cut first. Notice he has not stepped yet. So the body barge followed immediately by the dagger cut, and then he is going to pass forward and finish with the rapier cut right there, and that is the end of phrase 2. Now let's take a look at the whole phrase all together.
Paris is here, weight shift forward and biting. Pass back, parry. Repose. Pass back, parry, place the blade on top. Punto, low. Then drop step. Volt. Parry dagger 4. Prepping the thrust attack to the arm. Extend towards the arm. Pass forward. Dagger cut. Head cut. Weight shift back, parry. Bite the blade. Bind over to Choreo. Take the weight. Body bars. Cut. Cut.
Okay, it's now time for Paris to finish the fight, phrase 3. This right here is my favorite footwork piece. It's called a balestra, and it's then going to go right into the lunge. So here's what it's going to happen, is Paris has his weight shifted back on his left foot. He's right foot forward. Now he's going to leap off that left foot as he kicks his right foot forward, and then bring them together as he lands, making a nice slapping sound on the ground with his right foot. Looks like this. There we go. That's the balestra right there. Let's look at it again. Here's the balestra. He leaps off of his left foot, kicking his right foot forward, and then slaps them together. Boom, onto the ground. And then immediately extends the weapon and goes into a lunge. Boom, right there. Okay? Now, I mentioned to you that there was an evasion here on Romeo's part. There really isn't, but Romeo is ducking just in case Paris tries to swipe again with that dagger. But Paris is not going to get an opportunity because Paris is going to get stabbed by Romeo's rapier. But let's take a look at that balestra lunge one more time. Okay, so here's my favorite thing, balestra. So leap off the left foot, immediately extend, and then lunge. And Romeo is going to parry, dagger parry 3, and then place the blade on Paris's stomach. Paris is going to react and grab the blade with his left hand. Now be careful to avoid doing what I just did. I accidentally looked down at the blade, lowering my face. That's a very dangerous thing to do. Don't allow yourself to do that. Keep your face up as you react by pushing your hips back a little bit, keeping your face up there. You don't want to get your face too close to Romeo's blade. So let's look at that one more time, just because I love the balestra lunge so much. Here it is. Balestra, extend, lunge, kill. And that is the end of the fight. Let's now look through all 3 phrases from Paris's perspective.
Paris has Romeo on point. Sword is beat aside. Pass back, parry. I'm changing this to a cut. Cut. Head. Evade. Evade through. End of phrase 1. Phrase 2. Paris is here. Waist should be forward and biting. Pass back. Parry. Repose. Pass back, parry, place the blade on top. Punto. Low. Then drop step. Bolt. Parry dagger 4. Prepping the thrust attack to the arm. Extend towards the arm. Pass forward. Dagger cut. Head cut. Weight shift back. Parry. Bite the blade. Bind over the core. Take the weight. Body bars. Cut. Cut. Then